Stop. Whatever you're doing right now, stop. What I'm about to say isn't for everyone listening, it's for you. And your attention to this moment is the only key to the decree that shifts your path. You've been carrying a question that no one around you could answer, and you've felt a silent urgency that won't let you rest. Something happened to you just now, a shift in the frequency of your days, and I came to tell you what it means. What I'm going to deliver here is a spiritual agreement. By the end, you'll recognize the urgent signs that have been sent to your life and what they reveal. You'll understand the one hidden pattern that has been blocking what you've been seeking so deeply, that exhaustion of someone pulling on ropes that aren't attached to anything. And before this ends, there's a specific declaration over your life, a seal I'm placing on your path, and I believe this is the reason this message reached you at this very instant. You've noticed you've been waking up at the same time every night, a wake-up without an alarm, as if someone were calling you to a commitment you don't yet know how to name. You've seen repeating numbers in places that have no connection, as if the clock and life itself were trying to tell you something you haven't yet translated. Conversations that used to feel normal now sound hollow, and you feel a growing distance, not from hurt, but from an alignment you can't explain. This isn't a problem. It isn't a detour. It's a calibration. Your being is being tuned to a note that the environment around you hasn't yet reached. And if at least one of these signs touched you, if your shoulders dropped at any point in the last few minutes, type the number 888 in the comments. Your fingers typing those numbers are your spirit saying yes, confirming that you understand the call. 888 is the frequency of overflow, the signal that you're ready for what comes next. Type 888 and come back to me. Take a deep breath with me now. Let this recognition settle into the part of you that has waited longest for this confirmation. Attention!
There is a truth sealed by God for millennia, hidden until the end of times. It's no coincidence you are here. The signs are everywhere, and few are ready for this revelation. If you've ever felt that restlessness, that there's something deeper in the scriptures, this book is your key. But know this is the time. And the vault of the chosen reveals what God sealed for you. Within it, the 7 seals unveil the truth about being a chosen one and the eternal impact of this revelation. And the proof is here. Look how many minds are freed. Yours could be next. Secure your access now. Click the link in the comments or description and unveil these truths.
What you're living through isn't coincidence. You've been operating for years in the pattern of someone pulling ropes that are no longer attached to anything. It's a misdirected loyalty. You place yourself at the service of causes, people, and expectations that were never truly paying attention to you. You exhaust yourself trying to sustain structures that deep down you know no longer have life. It's like trying to nourish a root that isn't planted in your own soil. You give, you serve, you pour yourself out, but the return doesn't come because you're investing your energy in a courtyard that isn't your place to dwell. You always belonged somewhere else, a spiritual courtyard where your voice is heard. But life convinced you for a long time to stay at the gate, serving those who don't even know your name. That exhaustion you feel isn't a lack of ability. It's a lack of alignment with your own truth. You stopped being yourself to become what was expected. And that's the weight you're carrying. But the deepest layer, the one you haven't had the courage to touch on your own, is that this pattern isn't your mistake. It's an inheritance you agreed to carry. And now that you've recognized this, the first part of the path is open. Imagine your life is a vast property, a magnificent courtyard designed specifically for the flourishing of your soul. For decades, you lived as a caretaker of that courtyard, working hard so others could enjoy what grew there, while you remained in a corner without permission to inhabit the main house. You tended the fences, trimmed the grass, and kept the lights on for visitors who didn't even know your name. You always belonged to that courtyard, but your own humility, mistaken for selflessness, kept you away from the center of your own existence. What you're living through now is the recognition that the main gate wasn't locked from the outside. It was just slightly ajar. You were afraid to open it because you believed that if you entered, you'd have nothing left to offer others. But the truth is, by inhabiting your courtyard of origin, abundance overflows naturally, without you having to carry buckets from one side to the other. If something inside you just sealed itself, if the image of that courtyard I showed you landed in a place you can't explain, type the words I see in the comments. Let the recognition seal where it just landed. The act of typing these words makes the witness permanent in your own record. Type and come back to me. The solution to what you've been living isn't adding more effort to your journey, nor carrying more weight in the name of a loyalty that consumes you. The solution is return. It's unlearning everything you were taught about being useful at the cost of your own self. You don't need to strive to be deserving of your own life, you just need to be. Unlearning is an act of gentleness, a way of letting fall what was never yours. When you sit at the center of your courtyard, things begin to organize themselves, not because of your work, but because of your presence. But understand this, there's an even deeper layer beneath everything you've been sustaining alone. One that explains why there's been so much resistance. It's the secret of the structure you built to protect what you most feared losing. Take a deep breath with me. Sit with that for a moment. If something in this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, let your like be your wordless amen, not as a metric, but as an agreement that what was named here was named correctly, recognizing that truth, when spoken, doesn't need noise to sustain itself. You feel the weight of authority in this revelation, but there's still a facet of what you carry that needs to be seen in a new light, because how you see yourself in the shadows dictates the clarity of your next dawn. You've been walking through scenes that feel familiar, but where the light never fully reaches the ground. It's as if there's a score playing at a frequency only your nervous system can catch, while the rest of the world continues in a shallow harmony. What you've been living isn't a disorder of your mind, it's a fine-tuning process happening in silence. You notice the shift in the tone of conversations. You feel the weight of the air when you enter spaces that used to be refugees. And you see that your internal clock seems to ignore the conventions of human time. If you've noticed that the pattern of repeating numbers on clocks or in visual sequences has become constant, understand this as a sign that your radar is calibrated for something much greater. These coincidences aren't accidents. They're landmarks on a path you've already started walking, even without the full map in hand. If at least one of these signs touched you, if your shoulders dropped at any point in the last few minutes and you felt a pang of recognition, type the number 888 in the comments. It's the smallest agreement between what you feel and what you accept, but it's the most real. Type 888 and come back to me, because we need to go deeper into the cause of this restlessness. The truth is that you've spent years pulling on ropes that were already cut long ago by the natural course of life. You maintain a blind loyalty to roles, to expectations from people who were never truly looking your way. There's an exhaustion you confuse with duty, an exhaustion that says if you stop holding up these structures, everything will collapse. But what you don't see is that the weight you're carrying is what's blocking your new path from revealing itself. You're like someone trying to keep the deck of a ship still while the entire ocean is moving. This resistance is the only thing blocking your peace. Imagine now a vast courtyard, a sacred space that always belonged to you, but that through a heritage of survival you were taught to keep locked, as if you weren't worthy to inhabit the very center of your existence. You always knew this space existed. You felt the wind blow under the door, but the belief that you needed to serve outside kept you imprisoned on the outside. If something inside you just aligned, If this metaphor of the courtyard you never occupied landed in a place that explains your loneliness, type the words I see in the comments. Let that recognition seal where this truth just landed. Type and come back to me. The solution isn't in seeking a new technique, in reading one more book, or in trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for your dimensions. The solution is return. It's the movement of unlearning the urgency of effort to learn the rest of acceptance. You don't need to build this new state of being. You only need to clear the path through which it wants to flow. What you've been sustaining alone, with the sweat of your brow and the anguish of your days, is something that's no longer yours to carry. Silent obedience isn't a burden. It's the compass that adjusts your walk to the rhythm of what's coming. You carry a calling that was shaped in the silence of your hardest days, and what I'm about to reveal to you today is the reason you feel deep in your soul that your path has changed direction even without you taking a single external step. You've been experiencing sudden waves of an emotion that has no name, a mix of longing and urgency, as if you've been waiting for a sign that only you can decipher. You know those conversations that used to fill your day and now suddenly sound like empty noise, or the strange frequency with which repeating numbers insist on crossing your path, like reminders of a constant presence you can almost touch. All of this isn't random, it's calibration. It's your spirit being tuned to a higher frequency. It's the smallest agreement, but it's real. The number 888 is the frequency of overflow, the sign that your preparation has reached its limit and the delivery is ready to happen. Type 888 and come back to me, because what comes next is the layer that explains why you've been feeling so exhausted, even while being so faithful. You've been operating under a pattern of pulling ropes that are no longer attached to anything. It's as if you're trying to hold up a roof that no longer needs pillars, applying immense energy to an effort that's become obsolete. For years, you confused your surrender with blind loyalty to structures that no longer hold your truth. You showed up for an audience that was never paying attention, and that's the cause of your fatigue. But understand, this isn't failure. It's just the exhaustion of what was temporary. Imagine a courtyard, a place of absolute peace that always belonged to you, but that, through inherited conditioning, you were never allowed to inhabit. You grew up believing that your place was only at the edge, looking inward, serving as a watchman of that peace, but never as someone who could enjoy it. That's the root. You were conditioned to be the guardian, not the inheritor. And if something inside you just sealed itself, if the image of that courtyard I showed you landed in a place you can't explain, type the words I see in the comments. Type and come back to me. Learn to look at that courtyard, not as a stranger asking for entry, but as the owner finally returning home after a long period of exile. You don't need keys, because the door already recognizes your frequency. By recognizing that your obedience is your greatest form of protection, you feel something vibrating intensely inside you, as if an ancient frequency has finally found its tone. It's the smallest agreement, but it's real. Think now about how you've been operating. You've been confusing exhaustion with faithfulness, believing that if you're not under pressure, you're not fulfilling your role. Your surrender isn't a burden, it's a recognition of the path. And there's a short phrase that seals this understanding. Type and come back to me. Take a deep breath. Let it settle in the part of you that waited longest to hear this. Not as a metric. There's someone in your life who needs this exact message right now. Someone who's been trying harder than everyone around them and still sees the door remain closed. Someone who's walking in silence in a way no one around them can explain. Someone whose face just appeared in your mind while I was speaking. Send this to that person, not as a recommendation, as a delivery, the same way it came to you, by notice. Before this ends, type the words, I am the chosen one, in the comments, not as a wish, not as a hope, as a confirmation. The agreement that has been forming in silence between the sky and your hearing is an agreement you'll live by for the rest of this season. Type slowly. Let your fingers do what your spirit is already doing. You are committed. You are sent. You are being led. Right now, all over the world, other people are receiving this same recognition. You're part of something that isn't announced with noise, and that's exactly why it's real. Attention!
There is a truth sealed by God for millennia, hidden until the end of times. It's no coincidence you are here. The signs are everywhere, and few are ready for this revelation. If you've ever felt that restlessness, that there's something deeper in the scriptures, this book is your key. But know this is the time. And the vault of the chosen reveals what God sealed for you. Within it, the 7 seals unveil the truth about being a chosen one and the eternal impact of this revelation. And the proof is here. Look how many minds are freed. Yours could be next. Secure your access now. Click the link in the comments or description and unveil these truths.